I thought I could just, since it's so important, I could just charge double for that.
No.
You sure?
Positive. And I'm pretty sure that's not what Commissioner Picker meant.
I can't get it to.
Between lawyers and doctors.
Well, I would.
It was fine right before I walked out of there.
What in the world? Wait a second. It's catching up to whatever you were doing.
Correct. Yes. And she doesn't acknowledge my presence. And whenever it was nice because the gentleman from the Board of Education had a handout for me. But she'll have plenty of handouts,
And it
but she
was.
won't give me one.
Okay.
You'll see her with extra handouts in her hand, but she won't give me a handout.
Oh my God.
When I called her on something like a year or so ago, she's just never gotten over that. I don't know. It's weird. It's strange.
Already told me.
I must feel like there's
You,
someone helping. I would reboot it. Just give it a hard boot.
You ready? Call this meeting of the Kent County Commissioners to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we observe a moment of silence in memory of those that lost their life this week in Toronto. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. There's going to be a free skin cancer screening on Saturday, May 5th of this year between 9 a.m. and 12 noon at the Kent County Health Department. Call 410-778-7970 to make an appointment. Okay. Wednesday, May 9th, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., the Kent County Health Department on Lynchburg Street will have back-to-school vaccinations. This is the mass vaccination day at no charge. Kindergarten to 4th grade need 2 varicella vaccine. 7th through 11th grade need 1 Tdap and 1 Anectra. We'll also be giving Gardasil vaccine as part of the mass vaccination program for those who need them. You thought I wouldn't be able to pronounce that. Okay. Unfortunately, in the community of Wharton and Butlertown, there's a boil water advisory. Kent County Department of Water and Wastewater Services announced a precautionary drinking water advisory to residents of the Wharton and Butlertown areas. We are currently experiencing problems due to a water main break, but expect to restore water service to all customers by Tuesday evening or this evening. The boil water advisory is issued to consumers in the affected area because loss of water pressure increases the risk of contamination in a water distribution system.
Are we fixed up, Wayne? Okay, back on the line. Good.
Good. Okay. I know he's going in the back so he can pretend to be Mr. Edler.
Apparently not.
We'll skip that for now. We have 3 sets of minutes, regular session minutes, closed session, and liquor minutes from April 17th.
So moved.
Second?
Probably moved and second. The aforementioned minutes be approved as submitted. All those in favor say aye. Motion is carried unanimously. Also have a report of the closed session that was held on that day. The commissioners held a closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction. Topics discussed: consideration of individual employees' performance evaluation and/or compensation. The reason for closing is confidentiality of individuals' personnel requests, and no action. This was discussion only. Okay. We have a excuse me, a raffle permit from Washington College Trap and Skeet Team. It's a raffle only, and it's going to be throughout the county between May 6th and July 4th of this year, with the drawing being held on July 4th at 8 p.m. Okay. In addition to that, Washington College is also having a raffle only by the Washington College Trap and Skeet Team. This is going to also throughout the county, and this is between August 2018 and January 31st of 2019, with the drawing being held in February of 2019, 9 p.m., 8 to 8 p.m. Okay, and the last one is raffle only from the Frank M. Jarman Post 36 of the American Legion. We'll have a raffle at the American Legion Post on American Legion Drive here in Chestertown between June 9th and I'm assuming that's July 8th. Oh no, June 9th of 2018 to June 8th of 2019. And the drawing will be held on June 8th, 2019, around 8 to 8:30 p.m.
That's it. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Properly moved and second. The aforementioned applications be approved as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. Okay, application for a special Class C license for beer and wine from the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy. It's a family fundraiser be held at Howe Point Farm in Betterton on May 19th between 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. As such, there's also a application for a for beer only from the Midshore Pro Bono, Inc. It's a cornhole fundraiser to be held in Wilmer Park here in Chestertown, Maryland on June 16th of this year. Since these are applications for a liquor license requiring a public hearing, anyone have any comments for or against the aforementioned applications?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. The aforementioned applications be approved as submitted. All those in favor say aye. Motion is carried unanimously. And now we'll hear from Robert Edler. Stand-in.
We had two license renewals that were not included amongst the licenses that we reviewed the last meeting. First was the Inn at Osprey Point. The reason why that did not renew is because they lost their qualifier, and they have just in the last couple of days or so submitted their renewal application, and they do have a new qualifier on the application, so everything is in order, so that license can be renewed. The other license was Plaza Tapatia. Plaza Tapatia was subject to a comptroller's hold because there were taxes that weren't paid. Plaza Tapatia was advised to pay those by certified funds so they would clear right away. Plaza Tapatia instead sent a regular check, and the comptroller holds those for a couple of weeks to make sure the funds clear. Well, the funds did clear, but then it turned out, even though Plaza Tapatia paid the amount that they thought they owed the comptroller, it turns out they owed the comptroller more money. So Plaza Tapatia has now been advised to pay certified funds to the comptroller for the rest. That apparently has been done or is in the works. So what we're going to recommend for Plaza Tapatia is that you make that a conditional renewal, because the comptroller has not released their hold yet. So that would be conditioned upon the comptroller releasing the hold on or before May 1st. So if the comptroller does that by May 1st, they're renewed. If they don't, they're going to have a lapse in license and they'll have to come back.
So moved.
Say that name, don't you?
Plaza Tapatia.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second, the aforementioned applications be approved conditionally for one of the applicants.
Tapatia.
Correct.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, Tom. Okay, where am I here? Royce Ball, are you here? Oh, good.
Sir, good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, Commissioners, good evening. Thank you for hearing me. For the record, my name is Royce Ball. I'm co-chairman of the Vietnam Traveling Memorial Wall Easton, Maryland project. That's a mouthful, but it was also a very large project. The Vietnam Traveling Wall is a 3/5 scale model of the actual wall in Washington, D.C. It's 300 feet long, 6 feet tall, and it contains every name that's on the wall in D.C. It is engraved, so etchings can be made of the names, and that's what makes it so special. Our chairman, Kenley Timms, saw this wall 2 years ago at MPT, Maryland Public Television's presentation of the landing zone. And it's been, 2 years in the making to get it here to Easton, where it's going to be featured at the VFW on Glebe Road. But it's not only an Easton project, it's not only a Talbot County project. We've opened it up to the entire Eastern Shore. And beyond. We have people coming from Delaware, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, and the wall itself is coming from Ocala, Florida, and when it leaves us, it will be going to Iowa. So it is truly a traveling wall. It will be here from May 31st through June the 6th. Over the 2 years, 100 volunteers have joined committees to get this wall project going and to get it delivered here. There will be an escort from the Bay Bridge of approximately 1,000 motorcycles who will be bringing it through. We've been in contact with the authorities there. Local police in Easton, Talbot County Sheriff's Department, other municipalities, and the state police are on board with the project. They understand that this could be a bit of a quagmire. There's going to be a lot of people. There was a town in North Carolina, population 6,000. We're not ready for the 40,000 visitors they had. We hope we have that many, and we're as prepared as we possibly can be. We have EMS on site. We have grief counselors, because we know that the Vietnam soldiers who have families who remember them will have issues when they approach the wall, and we're prepared to handle those particular issues. Parking is an issue. We're working on it. This is a presentation for Kent County to advise you, and as a courtesy, to know that we could have a lot of visitors coming through to see. We're talking about Memorial Day weekend. We're talking about vacation time and everything like that. A $50,000 budget is what it took to bring this wall to Easton and to the Eastern Shore. And we're very proud of the fact that we're so close to it now. All the details are being wrapped up. I wish I could tell you of all the committees that we have. There are volunteer opportunities, which you have in front of you. You have the brochures in front of you. So I know you can read. I won't waste your time with that. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have, though.
I have no questions, but that's a pretty neat project. That's a great project. So.
Thank you. I'll share your comments with Kenley. He would be proud to hear that.
Just thank you for taking leadership to make that happen. I mean, that's
It's an amazing event. We're calling it historical because, as I said, it comes from Florida, leaves and goes to Iowa. People in Ohio won't have a chance to see it. We may get visitors from Ohio when the word gets out. So,
I visited the wall in D.C., and it's a very moving experience.
yes, sir.
Era veteran.
We placed a 60-foot buffer around this wall where there will be no cell phones, no radios, no music, nothing. It's as silent as we can possibly keep it so that they can reflect. And it's open 24/7. There are some veterans who probably will not want to be part of a crowd and visit. They're going to want a private moment. 3 o'clock in the morning, come.
Very
Well,
good.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, sir.
Sir,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
Carol Cortez, chairperson of the Museums of Kent County.
You got friends?
You get that right the last name? Cordes. Cordes. That's all. That's all right.
Mayor, how you doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. The representatives of the Kent Museums wish to thank you, our commissioners, for years of continued support, financial support, of course. Also, without their help, some worthwhile projects may never have begun and necessary repairs may never have been made. This year, we're requesting $7,000. This contribution will enable 5 museums to continue, finalize, or begin a new project. Kent Museum will have a new concrete apron in front of the museum for safer walking conditions and a more pleasing approach. Massey Air Museum is planning an aircraft familiarization and engineering course for high school students during this summer. The funding request will defray startup costs. Betterton Heritage Museum has had increased attendance due to the use of its constant contact social media and wishes to continue with this option. Funding from the county will allow for its continued success and will also pay for a history-related speaker on Betterton Day. Our newest museum is Rock Hall Marine Restoration and Heritage Center, and it's seeking funds to continue its middle school and scout programs on historical, nautical, and Chesapeake facts, in addition to purchasing marketing materials for the museum, which relate to the history of boating and bay on the life on the bay. Sumner Hall needs funding to publish a book about Henry Highland Garnett, for school children. Our treasurer, Don Hooker, couldn't be here this evening, but he wanted me to mention that 1/3 of the funding that we'll get is actually going to be used for outreach programs for students. 1/3 of the funding. I also wish to announce the opening of all 4 Rock Hall museums for the May 5th self-driving tour of 12 museums in Kent County. Hours will be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Museums of Kent brochures are on the shelf near the rear door. That's on May the 5th, Saturday. That's all I have. You ladies want to mention anything?
Our appreciation of the continued support makes a big difference.
And your funding request for FY19 is an increase of how much over?
No, it's no increase over what we got last year. No. You thought we were asking for too much. Is that it?
$74.50.
No. Cliff School withdrew its request.
Okay, so it's flat funding.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, flat 7,000. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Oh, we will be there.
Okay.
Well, be glad to do that, yeah.
Okay. Marty Hale. Joyous but yet sad occasion.
You don't get to do this too often. Man.
Maybe I'll hold back your tears.
Well, let me tell you, there's one spot that I'll probably do.
Okay. Well, as you know, Rick Myers, the Chief Inspector and Enforcement Officer in the Planning, Housing, and Zoning Department, is retiring on Friday after a total of 31 years and 10 months of employment with the county. He's here this evening to be recognized by the board.
All right.
You saved him.
Congratulations.
Billy has some.
Yeah, we added some footnotes in here. Rick Myers' employment history. Rick was hired on October 15, 1981 by Sheriff H. Allen Blizzard. At that time, the sheriff's office, jail, and dispatches were all located in the house that was on the front lawn of the courthouse. The sheriff's deputies' duties included being the guard of the jail. He was hired as the first actual correction officer in the county at an annual salary of $9,000. He transferred to a deputy sheriff's position in January of 1983. On October 23, 1985, he resigned to work outside of law enforcement. Rick was rehired on July 16, 1990, as the settlement control officer for Planning and Housing and Zoning Department. In January 1997, the position was reclassified to Chief Enforcement Officer when it was expanded to include inspections and enforcement of the county planning and zoning regulations. He is retiring on April 27th after a total of 31 years and 10 months of service to Kent County and the citizens.
Token, which reads,
And on this plaque or this token, it'll be presented to M. Richard Myers Jr., and it says, "In grateful appreciation for your 31 years and 10 months of dedicated service to the citizens of Kent County between October the 15th, 1981 and April the 27th, 2018. Signed, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, William H. W. Pickram, President, Ronald H. Fithian, Member, and William A. Short, Member." Congratulations.
Seemed like only yesterday that I started back in the county. Back in the 90s. It's all facts. I've enjoyed it for the most part. There's been some ups and downs. I'd like to think that I helped business. And I greatly appreciate the commissioners, administrator, and our entire staff. I just want to thank you.
Were we still paying you $9,000 a year?
Yeah. Actually, I haven't seen a paycheck in 20 years.
Oh, then that works out even better for the citizens. You have helped them.
I mean, you ask anybody in my office, I'll tell you, you get the paycheck, Rick doesn't get one. So,
Pat's back there.
She goes from my hands to her hands.
Well, we have a little cake here that you may partake of. And
That's his retirement career.
Oh, yoga.
Right. Is that your retirement career?
that is something that Amy said.
You're right on the front cover.
And of course, we had Joyce Gagowski make our cake, who's always made our cakes. And she's got a stock work order issued to Rick Myers. And I have a little note here from Joyce Gagowski. For those of you who know the history of the county, Joyce retired with about 42 years of service with the county in the treasurer's office, and she continues to make all of our cakes. So she sent me this little note today when we picked up the cake, and I hope I can get through it. It says, Rick, 20-some years ago, I made this pineapple carrot cake for one of our county office employee luncheons. Rick told me, Joyce, you can make this cake for me anytime. So here you are. Hope it tastes like you remember it. I have a feeling you don't remember it at all. Anyway, congratulations, good luck, Joyce. So she searched out the recipe. She hadn't made it for quite a few years. But she remembered that you had said that you liked it, so she said she was going to make it.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good.
Cut.
By the way.
Oh, you want to take pictures of us first?
Oh, yeah, Mandy, look at my big picture. With him holding it. Don't drop it now. Oh, real good. Hold on. I guess we're supposed to be. There you go. So it is a pineapple walnut cake to anyone who may have any allergies.
It's got walnuts in it?
It has walnuts in it, yes.
Give him the jail. And Rick, would please stay out of those. Who was supposed to give Rick the $10,000 check? Oh, nobody. That's right, nobody. She left. No, thank you.
Nothing? Inside,
It
outside?
doesn't matter. I got to eat a piece of brick.
Can't pass that up.
Giving you those orders already.
He's going to be sitting quite a lot.
Go sit down, Rick. Right now, go sit down.
We'd like to invite everyone to come up. We'd like to have a piece of yourselves. Don't be shy. Come on out.
Gosh, that's really good. See why he likes it.
It was good.
Pretty good. Aww.
Well, this is good. You better slow down on the pizza. A lot of people coming for this one.
Usually I had some sauce.
That's amazing.
You should have asked all the weight loss participants. Only serving you something.
I was going to say, I don't want you to get in the crossfire.
Serve this much cake.
Tom's making a lot of extra money now. He can clean that up.
I'm getting that $10,000. We're adding that to the legal budget.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you made it through. That's right. Okay, thank you very much, Rick. Thank you. Okay, now we'll continue on with our meeting, and we have the a bid recommendation for the Galena collection system.
Mars.
I was in Orphans Court, Caroline County, all day today.
Okay, I'll let you go this time.
I thought I was only going to be there for 2 hours. It was like 8 hours.
I'll let you go this time.
Thank you.
You need to get that done.
I've never been in Chestertown.
I'll give you right in a minute.
I thought you were afraid of microphones.
They intimidate me. Before we get started, I just want to pass those out so you can take a look at them. Show you what happened today out there at the Wharton. This pipe's been in the ground for 37 years. Why it decided to do that, we have no idea. I mean, the pipe...
Looks like PVC, right?
It is. The schedule SCR 21 pipe is what it was, which is water pipe.
Right.
But it had a crack in it, probably maybe 2 foot long. And right in the center there, it blew out a piece of it. The only thing I can figure is that the crack's been there for a number of years. Probably some kind of water hammer happened overnight that popped it open and blew that section out. So, but it rained like 375,000 gallons of water from like 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
Emptied all of our tires. So, ready to go.
This is no fine, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess the first thing on there is the recommendation from McCrone on the bid award to David A. Bramble for the collection system up to Galena. Their bid came in at $2,111,235, which was a low bid. The next bid was Schumer, which was like 200-some thousand, the difference between that. So, and the engineer's estimate was actually they were like $220,000 different than the engineer's estimate, so come in underneath that. So, pretty good bid, we think. So,
Motion to approve.
Second, and probably moving second to approve bid for the Galena collection system to David A. Bramble, Inc. in the amount of $2,111,235. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you.
okay, thank you. The next thing on there is the agreement between Department of Agriculture and Kent County. The existing one that you signed last year expires June 30th of this year, so you need to renew that, and it's in there for be signed.
Second.
Probably moving second to approve the agreement as submitted. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
And signed.
And signed. Signed.
Just want to make sure.
It did pass legal review.
It did pass legal review. It went all through the courses, all 3 of them. I guess being I'm ahead of Jamie, I thought she was ahead of me tonight, but I think she wants to come up and talk about the study for the 301 corridor up there. and I'll let you kind of open it up to see what.
We talked a little bit about it earlier today, but the Upper Shore Regional Council basically has allocated $25,000, and the goal is to have those contracts, because it's FY 2018 money, the goal is to have those contracts signed in place by June 30th of this year. Then the work can be done later. So the Earth data study that was done in 2008, we'd like to meet with Earth Data and talk about updating that study so that we'll have the information we need. We'll have that, then we'll also have the Queen Anne's County Economic Impact Study to look at. And then once we have all that together, then we'll know what else we need to do to prepare to grow the 301 corridor. So we wanted to find out from the commissioners. When Wayne and I talked, we thought the best approach would be to make sure we understand what the commissioners want to gain from those reports, so that we make sure we have it covered when we're talking about the contract with Earth Data. And Wayne is guiding me on this because water and wastewater infrastructure is new to me.
And if you remember, or I'm not sure you remember, Billy, but the rest of you should remember back in 2008, we had a study done for 301 corridor for economic development, Jack Steinman's back then. And what Earth Data did was take a little bit more deeper look than cursory, but it was pretty much a cursory look at that area from the overpass of 291 up to Sassafras. And they looked at the aquifers in the area to determine what kind of water availability would be there. And they looked at the land in the area on that mile-wide strip to see what land would be used for land irrigation or drip irrigation. So they did kind of a cursory look, but I'm not sure what you three want to look at, how much more in depth you want to go. And that's what I told Jamie before. I've got a budget number from Earth Data to update it, but we need to develop a scope of work so we can nail it down and get a more precise number to what needs to be done there. So I'm kind of looking for some guidance of what else you're looking for, and we'll tie it into the zoning, what's going with the current master plan and stuff like that to make sure it's all fits together.
Well, primarily, we're looking at that area. I mean, it's a big umbrella to say economic development, but more specifically, that is the largest area in the county that is zoned commercial. So it's an opportunity to develop that for commercial purposes, as well as, unfortunately or fortunately, it could be housing too. Probably not for agricultural use, per se, but a more industrial use.
It could be commercial ag.
Commercial ag.
Industrial type commercial / possible some development down on this end.
A mixed usage.
Yeah.
I'd recommend, or I'd ask for two parts of the study, because I'm not sure where Millington would go with this, but as an independent operation of ours, where we control the water, sewer, that sort of thing, just because of the complexity we've had with the Millington area. But if it's a possibility to set up our own, that should be probably part of it.
That would be a main focus of it, is actually independence as far as moving that forward to where we'd have the control of the water and sewer in that area there.
Right, I would agree. And then I guess part of that study could be infrastructure to a certain extent of egress and things like that. I know we got certain areas, but we have talked to the state, and I don't know if they can be involved in that still, where we've got preliminary agreement that where we can access 301 in other areas. Perhaps Jamie was in a meeting, I guess 9 months to a year ago, where they were involved. There's just a side road. It's a side road. It's not even an entrance yet. But they were pretty open, and I think the governor's pretty open. If it's something we need, that maybe should be part of the conversation with the state through the study.
As far as ingress and egress into
301.
To 301 from
the point was back down where like Dykers, where the sharp bend is, that takes you back towards Massey.
Carroll Clark Road.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, because up on this end, it's a
we already
access.
Right.
Even though SHA has historically been opposed to any more access to 301, times have changed.
Right.
That's actually what makes it such a valuable place. It has three major things to offer. It's that fiber optics going through that intersection right now, which not many places has it, as we well know. It's got water and sewer. It's probably the only place that has water and sewer available between the Delaware line and maybe Queenstown. I mean, it's a long stretch there that That's the only place on 301 that has fiber optics, the water and sewer. And almost equally important is those service roads that they're talking about. If we can't get, they may make exceptions, but what we've been told in the past is that there'll be no entrances or exits on 301. That's what makes those a service road on both sides of 301 right now. One of them went down to the old Howard Johnson's on that side, and then on this side, and it's just a perfect place to receive development if, in fact, that's what we want to do, and we do.
I have an idea that the access roads were probably parallel 301 to a point where they could access them like on 291 overpass or down.
Or 313.
Yeah.
But also, there's also rail access there, too.
Yeah, towards the Massey area.
For Jamie, I mean, we realize that Queen Anne's is doing their thing, too. Is Cecil County looking at anything that they plan on, what's going to happen?
No. Well, yes and no. We're working with Cecil County, so anything that we do, that if it was a study that we were paying for, obviously this study is just an update of what we prior did. We would include Cecil County. It's a very small portion, especially since it would be funded through the Upper Shore Regional Council. And I have begun discussions with John Carroll from Galena about some plans that Galena has as well, because it might not come all the way out to 301, but some of the plans that they have may impact as well. And actually, we have a meeting scheduled next week with someone from each of the towns within the county through the Department of Housing and Community Development to talk about what sustainable communities and what grants are available for projects such as this.
And SHA did approach me probably 2 or 3 months ago. They were looking for possible water and sewer for a rest stop up that area. They were considering that, so that's another.
They own a piece. They own a piece on this side, and the word is that they're considering a rest stop there. I mean, I've heard it mentioned.
Part of the process could probably maybe be getting them to join in with some assistance for the water and sewer.
Right.
System, that could benefit them as well as us. So
I would say just have them be very open-minded about what they're doing and future. Think 20 years even on what that has the potential while they're doing their survey.
And the Millington system is already close to capacity as it is.
Well, now you brought that up. We've got a meeting next Monday, Queen Anne's County, Department of Planning, and hopefully the town of Millington, because they're the ones that want to schedule this. They're talking about, number one, is replacing all the water lines in town. Number two is doing away with their wastewater plant and pumping it all to Suttersville. And I really have some major concerns on both of those fronts that we need to talk about next Monday when we meet with the state and then vote. So I'm not sure where they're planning on, and I know they're talking about doing some annexation too, or at least what we've seen or heard.
I think most of their eyes are on going up 313.
No, they're coming out through. They will actually want to annex the area that we have now that's got sewer, which, as far as I'm concerned, would go with that. They've got some plans that we really need to finalize. Plus, they'd have to amend the water and sewer plan before that could even happen. So there's some hurdles they need to jump over that, but yes, that's a possibility. That
All right. Thank you.
Enough to start with? Scott.
Okay. Pseudo Scott Boone.
Scott sent a request to give you the update tonight. Segment 19 and 12 are the last two pieces that we're working on with the backbone. Segment 12 is Quaker Neck. Should be finishing up this week or early next week, weather permitting. So it's very much right on the tail end of that piece. And segment 19, which is the Chestertown piece, work is scheduled to begin on the final few blocks next week. So that's the backbone update.
Very good.
Now, is Chestertown intent on putting public access Wi-Fi throughout the town?
Throughout or downtown?
I think Scott's working on that
Scott's
with
working
them.
on a downtown
Mainly the
option.
Walmer Park, places
Right,
like
yeah.
that.
Fountain Park.
Okay. All right. Rosemary Ramsey Ranello, Director of the Local Management Board.
I am here to request that you approve a slight revision in our bylaws. We just had left Parks and Rec off of our list of non-term limit members, and we need to put them back in there. It was an oversight because they're not mandated by the state to be, an ex officio member, but we want them to be always on the board as if with the other mandated agencies.
So moved.
Second.
Barney, move a second to approve the revision of the Kent County Local Management Board bylaws to include Parks and Recreation as an ex officio member of the board. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
I have the Imagination Library request.
Yes, so we discussed it a little bit at today's budget work session, and the guys had a couple of questions about the program itself as well as the specific asks to the county. If you'd like to give a quick overview, maybe that'll launch it.
Great. So since about 2015, the local management board brought Imagination Library, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. It's a really fantastic program that brings one book a month to every enrolled child in the county, and it costs about $25 for every child per year. And the partnership between Dolly Parton's Foundation and local municipalities or local sponsors is that Dolly Parton's Foundation provides, the low-rated books, making sure every child's receiving an age-appropriate book, that they run the whole database so they know when kids are graduating out or how old they are, et cetera. And the county is responsible for fundraising the dollars. So we have been fundraising with private partners and towns and other entities throughout the county since August of 2017. And so to date, total gifts that we've received have been about $9,500. We've spent about $6,000. We have $3,000 on hand, and we're asking for the commissioners to make a small contribution of about $600 to continue this effort throughout the county. It's especially important that the commissioners buy in so that we can address other partners and say this is something that we're all working together to continue to sustain in the county, and it benefits all of our children. There's no restriction for who can enroll, who can participate. Right now we have about 280 children enrolled. That's about 35% of our 5 and under population.
How do you get them to enroll?
They can enroll online. They can go to the library. They can go to the Kent Family Center. We have not been aggressively outreaching because we have pretty limited income. Right now we have enough money to pay everything until September. So we want to make sure that we're building a strong enough cushion before we really try to enroll everyone. But it's well established within the library and the Kent Family Center, and I think in the Judy Center as well. And so those families are, especially with the Judy Center, they're able to easily access, find the brochure, and enroll.
So now this program is actually sponsored by the LMB here in Kent County.
It's not anymore. So as a local department of the county, I can't fundraise. So we have Midshore Community Foundation as our fiscal sponsor. And people can actually go to the Midshore Community Foundation website and donate directly now.
Why not to the library?
We talked about it, but they would have had to open up I guess it would have had to go through the Friends of the Library, one of their 501c3s. And with the Midshore, it was just an easy resolution to But the library, we have a steering committee to keep it going. It's the library, Judy Center, Kent Family Center, and one of my board members that helps keep things rolling.
So you have enough money till September if you get this other funding?
No, with what we have currently, we have enough until September.
What's the sustainability of this program? Because your funding was withdrawn last year.
It costs about $6,000 a year, and so I actually have a sheet of who's donated.
And are they going to continue?
Just so happened.
We are requesting dollars from the town councils, from the county commissioners. The Friends of the Library is a very important sponsor. They're going to be contributing again this year. We got a generous donation from the Kudner Foundation just this month. We also were supported by Christ United Church, Christ IU, and the town of Millington gave us a generous donation last year, so we hope to request again from them, and the other towns as well.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the $600 donation to the Imaginary Library.
Imagination.
Excuse me?
Imagination.
Listen, we were talking about, we were giving Billy a hard time about that in the work session today, about this being an imaginary program, and I just kept right on with it again.
Good job, Ron. Second.
Probably moving second to allocate $600 to the aforementioned library. All those in favor say aye. Motion's carried unanimously.
We've heard from the Board of Education about the 3-year-old program. We were wondering how one program, a new program, affects some of the programs that are already in place. And we thought, I see Lisa back there for the Kent Family Center. We were just wondering how they play off one another, if they do, if it's...
Yeah, there is a direct impact. In the Judy Center grant that is received by Kent County every year is a limited amount of money, and that covers the salary support for the Judy Center, but it also covers support for, or has covered support for the Healthy Families Home Visiting Program, which is funded in part by the local management board. And that allowed there to be 2 home visitors with that program, and they were able to serve a record number of families this year with those 2 people in place.
But you are covering the 3-year-olds.
Yes, it's 0 to
0 to
5, 4.
0 to 4.
And so that this shift to the 3-year-old program would directly cut funding to the Healthy Families program. We would probably have to go back down to 1 full-time home visitor, and it also directly impacts funding to the Kent Family Center.
Well, when they talk about an area that's being underserved, how do they come up with that? That there's going to be this, and I'll tell you, for a long period of time, I thought this was something that was going to be a county-wide program, only to find out that it amounts to about 12 children, give or take some. Where are these 12 children at that are being underserved, and why are they being underserved, if they are? And how do we locate them? I mean, if these other programs are out there and available, how come they're not taking advantage of it, I guess?
Well, these programs are taken advantage of. Excuse me? The programs that are offered, because I would say that providing a 3-year-old program to low-income families is something that's currently being covered by not only Healthy Families and Kent Family Center, but also Head Start. So I think the school system would have to answer that question directly for you, though. About
it seems like this is more than a duplication of effort. I mean, since you already have 3 programs that are adequately funded and are doing the job, et cetera, to now for the Kent County Public School System to do this seems to be counterproductive.
We had a good discussion with the school system at the Kent County Local Management Board meeting the other week, trying to address, is this going to duplicate efforts? And it doesn't necessarily have to mean duplication, but it might mean shifting. So if we're going to shift away from Kent Family Center and place that within the school system, that would be more of a shift than duplication. But we also don't want to see the Family Support Center suffer as a consequence.
And how much money would you guys lose?
About $31,000 for the year.
And what's that do to your program?
Well, it leaves me scrambling at the end of the year to fill a position that was previously funded by the Judy Center.
You mean to fund the position, not fill the position, fund it?
Funding, yes. They were funding a position.
And your programs, are the population that you see in your programs, are you at your limits?
No, we're not. In fact, we do extensive outreach trying to reach these children. We refer them to Head Start when they turn of age for that program. And I believe Head Start is full right now, but, there's not, we live in Kent County, there's not an abundance of 3-year-olds that are just hiding out waiting to be in a program. There's lots of outreach. There's lots of family activities to try to engage those children. Some of them are probably in child care, home child care or centers.
I guess what my question was trying to get at is if there are some children out there that are not being served, is there a place
Yes.
around now that they could go to without creating another?
More than one, yes.
More than one.
Yes. Yep, they would have several options.
Okay. I've had my questions answered.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate that. Okay. Jamie Williams, you're coming back again. Just can't get rid of you. That's it. Time to see.
First, thanks for hearing that request while Wayne was here, and at the last minute, since it is time sensitive with the funding for the Upper Shore Regional Council. So I'm here tonight because on April 3rd, at the request of Mayor Serino and Brian Matthews, the commissioners approved the loan in the amount of $75,000 through the revolving loan fund for Chesapeake Movies, Inc. The theater closed in June of 2017, and the reopening has to be the most talked about topic when I'm approached by residents or community leaders. So Mike Tilke has prepared the documents. Mr. Yeager has reviewed all the documents, and all the requested edits that Mr. Yeager advised have been made. Chesapeake Movies, Inc. and the town have signed the documents, and Mike is ready to sign on behalf of the county and cut the check. Chesapeake Movie Theaters, they do expect to open about the beginning of July.
Jimmy, is that when you say Mike, is he involved in this as well?
He's involved in this from the standpoint of the revolving loan was set up with ESAC, so they are the administrator of the loan. So we have an MOU with them to administer the loan.
So some of the programs, it's 50-50 between us and Mike Tilke's, but this time he's just administering it.
That is correct.
We're making the loan.
Correct.
First thing I have first is, why is the town signature to this loan?
Because the town is guaranteeing the loan as a co-guarantor with the movie theater.
That was different than what.
Yes.
Guarantors, gentleman who is a principal in the company.
Correct.
And then the town of Chestertown.
I think what the confusion was when the mayor was here, there was a question about the town guaranteeing the loan, and he said he couldn't speak
For the town.
by himself without the board members.
That has all been worked out.
That's been worked out.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the signatures.
A second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second to approve the revolving loan fund to Chesapeake Movies, Inc. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion is carried 2-1. And my reservation has to deal with the amusement tax. There's no place in the agreement, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Okay. We come back to
on, Marty.
Marty Hale. Come on back.
You're not going to hide. You're not going to hide.
Well, I was like, if you're
Like-
not involved,
We have a revolving door.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, I have a couple of items to discuss this evening. First is a requesting approval to increase the annual revenue, and it's been requested in the FY19 budget, and the program is just starting. So,
Second.
Probably moving second to approve the hourly rate. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried unanimously.
thank you. Okay, next is a request or approval for a new position in the weed control program. This is for a part-time person to assist the full-time or the other individual in the department in the program. As I mentioned, it's successful, generates its own revenue, and the request is in the FY19 budget. Wayne's asking that we start this individual or approve the position and advertise for an individual to start with the program this year.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moving second to approve a new position of weed control helper to work 624 hours annually as recommended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously.
Okay, as you are probably aware, we have a vacancy in the assessment office of the assessment supervisor or Kent County Supervisor of Assessments. That individual is transferred to another county. The State Department requests that we advertise, interview, and recommend 5 candidates to move forward to be sent to the state for consideration. On February, we advertised and we conducted interviews, Shelley Heller and myself, on April 11th, and we ordered the applicants based upon experience, education, and their interviews. So we're requesting to send those recommendations forward to the state.
But do you have 5 or you just 4?
No, we only had we had 4 applied, 1 wasn't qualified, 3 interviewed, and we're submitting 3.
3 names, okay.
3 names.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second to forward the resumes of the selected applicants to the Director of Assessments and Taxation for the vacant Supervisor of Assessment position.
Can I ask you a question?
Discussion?
Do we send it, do we prioritize them, or because we don't get a chance, it's really not going to be our choice, should we just send the 3 names in and not prioritize?
I've done a little research, and other jurisdictions have actually prioritized them. Sometimes the state will interview the candidates. Sometimes they'll pick from the list. It's really up to them when we hand it to them. But by prioritizing, it at least shows, especially if they don't interview.
Okay.
And if more people than 5 applied, we're doing the screening and everything for them and sending the 5 best candidates forward if we're fortunate to.
And in all honesty, they could reject our recommendations since we're submitting 3 and maybe for 5, but we literally didn't have 5 to send.
And that position was advertised in our normal process, and the advertisement sent to the state who advertised it. And, yeah.
It is what it is. Okay, so any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously.
Okay, and lastly, Parks and Rec seasonal hires are hot and heavy this year. We've submitted 26 applicants for consideration and positions. What is interesting to note is 20 of them are returning employees. So we held interviews, or Parks and Rec held interviews for the remaining 6 and recommended them as well. I just wanted to point out that 20 of those applicants worked for us last year and returned.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's properly moving second to hire the applicants for the summer seasonal positions in the Parks and Recreation Department as requested pending successful completion of county pre-employment requirements. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
What about dispatch, Marty?
Oh, did I miss one?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Okay, so that was second to the last. This is lastly. Okay, we had 2 vacancies in the dispatch, 911 dispatch. They were advertised internally and externally, resulting in all the applicants that applied being tested. One wasn't considered because he was unable to start until August, and one did meet the minimum test score. So we interviewed 6 of those applicants on April 12th by myself, Wayne Darrell, and Todd McGinnis, and we're recommending the 2 that you see before you at the grade and salary listed.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second to approve the recommended applicants to fill the 2 vacant emergency services dispatcher positions in the Office of Emergency Services as requested pending successful completion of county pre-employment requirements. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously.
All right, well,
I don't have anything more for you.
thank you this time.
Okay. Mr. Yeager, our county attorney.
I think that you had bumped me up because
Yeah. All right.
Didn't mean to do that, though.
No.
Okay, I have 2 small items for you this evening. The first is our annual FY19 Critical Area Grant Agreement. This is the 32nd year that this will be in effect. It's for $13,000, and it's to help offset the cost of enforcing the critical area regulations.
Second.
Properly moved and second to sign both grant agreements as prescribed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously.
And second, there is a recommendation in front of you to fill a vacancy on the Workforce Investment Board. They're requesting approval of the recommended candidate.
Okay.
One second.
Go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second to approve the appointment of the named individual to the Workforce Investment Board for a 3-year term. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried unanimously. Okay. We have Royce Ball. You already talked.
bumped him up too.
Jim Luff, Economic Development is your subject?
Yes. Wait a minute. We have to put you on record.
Thank you, ma'am. I couldn't be with you this afternoon when we were going over the budget with Jamie, so I thought I would take the comment portion, just kind of give you the insight from the other members of the commission who couldn't be here either. But essentially, bottom line is that we're basically supporting Jamie totally in what's going on. In 3 years that she's been in really full-time, I've seen movement in the economic development effort in this county like I've never seen before. And not touting my age, but I go back to when the first director, Dave Taylor, was hired back in the mid-'80s, and all we did was react to things coming through. Now we're being very proactive, and that's a good thing. That kind of goes right into the marketing budget. We have to not only market locally, we have to market shore, we have to market tri-state, we have to market beyond, because you all have given this county fiber optic. And when that is lit up in a very near future, we're going to be having requests coming from some areas that have high rollers, people who are into cybersecurity, people who are into data storage, people who are into backroom office records and whatnot. And like most people, when they're looking at an area, they're ready to make a decision like this. We have to be ready for that. So we need to make every effort we can to proactively get out there and make sure that people realize that we have the infrastructure in place, not only the fiber in the ground, but we have water and sewer and other places too to be able to handle that growth. Secondly, we've had a department of one for as long as I can remember, except probably from the short time that tourism was connected to economic development. When you have a department of one, you're severely limited to what you can do. You also have no continuity. If that person leaves, you're starting from ground zero all over again. And we've done that. We've done that for a number of years. It's time to stop doing that. We need to build continuity. We need to build progression into our department. So that means that we're asking to add a person. I'm not a big fan of growing government. You know, I'm very conservative in that regard. But I think this time it's warranted. But what I would say with that, we also need to be innovative in our thinking and looking at the fact that when we have an opportunity to hire someone, just like now, tourism is looking for another admin assistant too, to handle graphics, because they're asking for that person to have InDesign and Photoshop capability. Well, if you have one person on staff that has that capability, you can share that with other departments to handle their graphics. So instead of the county having to outsource everything beyond one department, we can handle everything in-house. And that's what we should strive to do. We should be able to look at that type of collaboration between departments. I mean, your IT department right now is going across all types of boundaries of departments and helping people out in the county as far as what they need to do. We should use that as an example for the other departments to reach out and help each other. Use the expertise that you've got there and be able to make things go more efficiently, quicker, and more cost effectively for the county. And the last thing as far as being innovative thinking is that there's some thought about, well, why maybe we should merge tourism and economic development again. Queen Anne has tried it a number of times, fails, works, fails, works. I don't know what the answer is. But maybe we should think even beyond that and look at creating departments that have a multiple uses in there that serve people. Maybe we start thinking about how we serve the people better, then we do that. Instead of just having two departments, current departments combined, maybe we have three or maybe we have four that combine, and we restructure them so that they become much more effective in what they do. So basically, and to close it out, what I wanted to do on behalf of the commission is let you all know that we totally support what Jamie has been doing and try to help her as best we can. But even the state's having trouble keeping representatives here on the shore. So when you have someone who can navigate the alphabet soup of the regulations in Baltimore and Annapolis, that's really good. But we need to build on that and be able to do more. And I think we can do that. Thank you.
Robbie Bear, also economic development, and the education budget. Yes, that is.
And education. Here I am again. I printed these out for you so that you have them on paper. These are this is the sort of request points that support our schools would like you to consider.
Thank you very much. Thank you for thinking.
So these are sort of the requests that we have as a community now. I know that I suspect that you've been receiving notifications, emails of our of people signing our petition to support Dr. Couch's budget. Have you been getting those? No. Okay. Well, then we'll have to put that all together. We have about 250 signatures of people who want to support, who are asking to support and fund Dr. Couch's budget. So we're still working on getting more of those. I'll get those to you soon, next time, I guess. But also, I just want to give you the 3 points that we'd like you to consider to reinvest in our public schools. So approve the superintendent's budget, which includes social workers for each elementary school, an additional guidance counselor for the middle school, as well as helping teachers. To be able to hire and sustain these positions, we need you to approve an increase in maintenance of effort and fully fund the proposed FY19 budget. So that's one request. Number 2, to prioritize economic development. This is what Jim was talking about. We're suggesting that you increase the annual budget to $500,000 to create higher paying jobs and help broaden the tax base. That is a somewhat arbitrary number. I personally would like it to be higher because I know how much these things cost, but I think that just raising it even from what it is so that we're not a one-person shop is super important. So number 3, to conduct an efficiency study to identify areas of cost savings across departments. So that means number 1, to eliminate duplication of function, such as multiple departments vying for marketing dollars and servicing physical plant, which is exactly what Jim said. So instead of having a tourism department and a economic development department and one person is hiring a designer, have a designer for the whole county who does all of these, who works across departments. There's a lot of ways that efficiencies can be done that way. Number 2, improve procedures to address physical plant issues, to avoid debt funding of repairs and remediation. Part of the problem of this, $40 million of repairs and work that we have on aging buildings and infrastructure problems is partly due to the fact that we haven't been doing it for so long. And now all of a sudden we're stuck with all these problems. Number 3, track and assess the use of county assets, such as trucks and large equipment. Those are the expensive high dollar items, to optimize annual hours and service as well as lifetime use. So just, I haven't looked closely at everything, but just from where I'm standing, there are certain departments that aren't willing to share equipment. And, we bought a new batwing mower for somebody. I'm pretty sure that whoever needs the batwing mower doesn't need them at the exact same time. We probably didn't need to spend the extra money on the extra batwing mower if there were a creative way to reorganize the departments and look at where we're spending our money and look at where we're spending our equipment hours, our man hours on equipment. There's probably lots of efficiencies that could be made. If that's not something that anyone in the county is capable of doing, I think it's something that's worth paying for a consultant, an efficiency consultant, to come in and look at. So those are the requests that we, as Support Our Schools, have.
I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Let's see. Skeet and Trap Team from Washington College.
I was wondering who you guys were sitting out there. Stuck out the whole night.
Nice to meet you.
Oh,
So we just wanted to come here tonight and personally thank you, the county commissioners, for continuing to grant our raffle permits. I'm the head coach of the team, Doug Pfaff, and this is my associate head coach, Aaron Amick. And instead of just us coming here to thank you, I wanted to bring 2 of our athletes here as well, so you can hear from them, which is where the recipient of the benefit is coming from. So.
Yes. This is severely too high.
There you go.
Thank you. We just wanted to take the time to thank you. We really appreciate that you've approved our raffle permits to help with our programming. Funding continues to be somewhat of an issue, granted how expensive our program can be. So we really appreciate the opportunity that you provided us.
Thank you.
Nothing to add.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Nice of you to come in.
Appreciate it. Okay. You have anything?
Nothing.
One other thing, as far as dealing with the Chestertown Movies, Inc. I'm very supportive of a movie theater being built here. I just had some issues as the agreement tied the repayment schedule to entertainment tax. And this is taxpayer money that I think is important, that the taxpayer deserves some confidence that it will be repaid. That's the only thing. Other than that, I support that. The other thing is I'm going to say about the Vietnam Memorial Wall, traveling wall. I visited the wall several years ago in D.C., and it's a very, very moving experience. And I'll honestly admit to you, I will not go back to the wall again because it was that emotional to me. So, but I think those that have an opportunity to go to Easton to see that, I think it'd be well worthwhile as far as memories are concerned. Whether or not you have someone who was involved in the Vietnam conflict or not, it is part of our American heritage and our American history. That's it. Anything from the news media? Questions at all? Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to raise some points about the 3-year program, and I certainly don't want the Kent Family Center to lose that $31,000. But one of the reasons that that 3-year-old program was even on the table is because we are at risk of losing the Judy Center grant entirely. It's becoming a competitive grant. I think that that's why Dr. Couch came up with this idea to make us more competitive. So I think that that's something to keep in mind, because if we lose it entirely, then all those kids is out on that funding, you know, including the $31,000 that goes to the Kent Family Center. So I just thought that that needs to be kept in mind when you're thinking about what to do with that budget funding.
Why is it not competitive the way it's done? If
it hasn't been a competitive grant.
I understand that, but why would it not be competitive just because Dr. Couch isn't doing it?
You mean the way it is right now?
Right.
Why is it not competitive right now?
She just wanted to amp it up and make us look even more desirable. And I'm probably not the person to be asking.
Right. I mean, so I just wanted to see where you're coming from. That's all I was doing.
I just wanted to make sure that that was on the table.
Right. We gathered, because she had talked about that many times, but I think...
Well, I can assure you, too, that our desire is not to see the programs go away. It's,
I think
what Billy's saying is they may be very competitive like they're being run today. Who knows? I don't know, but there are people here that run them, and I think they could probably speak to it.
And we're actually, from my perspective, I'm concerned not about the program at the school or Judy Center or Kent Family Center. I'm concerned about the service delivery to the affected children.
Right.
Whatever is the most effective program to deliver those services to the kid. If it's through the LMB and the Kent Family Center and all of, then so be it.
Well, I think for one thing, if the school does it, we're looking at certified teachers, people who can get trained to handle kids with autism spectrum disorder and things like that. I think that's who they would.
You don't think the Kent Family Center and the Kent Center don't have trained individuals? They do.
Well, we want to clear the air, so...
Yeah, I mean...
No, we want to clear the air because that way there's not a misconception of what really is being done. So, you know, that way it gets put out there correctly.
Also, to be fair, Dr. Couch should be in this
Here,
conversation.
yeah.
So Rebecca's bringing up the point, but we're just questioning it because we have an understanding of what she's trying. And I don't know if you've talked with her, and if all of
They all sit on the same committees and boards.
Okay.
She sits on the board with Dr. Couch, and so does Rosie. So they've had these conversations as well.
Just so you know, our program is run by a PhD candidate in early childhood infant development. Am I saying that right? Which is different than a certified teacher, but we're talking about kids 0 to 4.
Right.
So it's, you know, any different things.
In terms of the competitive grant business, apparently the MDSE is saying that if you, and is signaling somehow to Dr. Couch, if you guys want to continue to be competitive with this grant, the thing that we are recommending is starting earlier with your public school services. So starting at the 3-year level, not to take away from you guys, but to say, if...
Well, we are starting with newborns.
No, I know that you are. She's saying that the MDSE is saying that in order to continue to be more competitive, our recommendations are to start at the 3-year-old level instead of the 4-year-old level for the public schools, not for what you guys are doing. So that is why she wants to do that.
Right.
Not because she's trying to steal 3-year-olds from
No,
another
and I don't think that at all.
Yeah.
But we also have offered to help write the grant and include some competitive aspects. We've not been taken up on that. I was informed a week before the grant was due that a change was being made. So, as the co-chair of the ECAC, I think we could have probably worked something out.
Yes.
And maybe it still will.
Yeah.
I hope.
You hope.
Thank you.
I understand. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Eric Kuster. Eric Kuster.
Okay, thank you.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.
Jack, I was 10 minutes off.
You were pretty dang close.